Good, 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 good. How are we all doing today? Yes. Turn to a friend. Say, you are welcome. Again. 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 And then give a friend high five. High five. And then ask your friend. And then ask your friend, why are you here? Ask. Why are you here? Again. Ask, why are you here? Hallelujah. Amen. Good. Today, we're going to continue from where we left off 2 weeks ago. And I pray that today too will be another, inspirational time. I pray. You see, these things we've been discussing since January. How many of us are being blessed at all since January? Yeah? Okay. Thank God. All right. So we're going to go quick from this, and then we would continue from where we left off 2 weeks ago. Living Christ in my community. John 20:21. Jesus said unto them, peace be with you. As the Father has sent me, even so I am sending you. The making of a modern missionary, the need for change. When we say mission, in this context, we mean serving the community with your gift or purpose. Number one, the Bible speaks of one truth, a single truth. And that is that humans are made to be a reflection of God on earth. Humans are made to be a reflection of God on earth. Romans 1:24, ever since the creation of the world, his invisible nature and attributes, that is, his eternal power and divinity have been made intelligible, have been made clearly discernible in and through the things that have been made. When you see an ant, you are seeing the intelligible and clearly discernible of God's divinity. You don't think of it that way. When you see a cockroach, you are seeing God's invisible attributes on display. Kill them. We have insecticides. We have all that. Look, study the way a spider makes its web. Hey! You see God's creativity on display. That is God's invisible power being made plain to you. Now, if a spider, if a cockroach, who were not made in the image of God, still display God's invisible nature and attributes, how much more a human being who was made in the image and in the likeness of God, and you are finding it difficult to believe that you are here to express God on earth. Knowing this truth and making a daily conscious effort, making daily conscious efforts to live as such is both liberating and satisfying. There are a few things to bear in mind when discussing purpose. One, to begin any discussion about purpose, it is necessary to understand that everyone is born with a distinct and peculiar gifts that helps them achieve their life's mission. This morning I was saying in the Sunday school class that to say that someone has a low IQ when you are judging a fish against an elephant, it's wrong. You cannot say that a fish which swims in the sea, the genius of a fish is exposed when it is in its environment. And then you are saying that because you are judging a fish and an elephant, a fish has got a low IQ. You are judging me wrong because you are not looking at my purpose. Do you understand? But if you should judge me as a Bible teacher, my IQ is up there. But judge me as a physicist and my IQ will be low. How dare you tell me I have a low IQ? Put me in the Bible class and my genius is up there. Put me. Coming again. Put me in the class of business or accounting or dancers. Hey! Joe Puff, it's your fault. It's true. How can you judge me? How can you judge me and say I've got a low IQ when you are judging me wrong? Put me in my domain and then you can judge me right. And I was saying to them this morning, don't let anyone's opinion about you become your identity. Refuse that. Refuse that. The second thing to remember, is this in helping you at all? These are small things we do not consider. And we allow these things to ruin our lives. Do you understand? The second thing to remember when discussing purpose is that the distinct and peculiar gift you were born with has to be noticed. In fact, when I was going through my notes, the reason why I will say something little on this is because P especially came to mind. And I will explain. Listen to this. Are you the only one who sees the mistake? Your gift has to be noticed. And you know how your gift is noticed? Because P, whenever we are watching telly or we're walking by or whatever, and there is a slightest mistake in how someone's attire has been sewn, she's the first to recognize it. And then she will say, P, have you seen something? I said, what? I saw nothing. Because that is not where. Exactly. You can see it. Because that is not where you are. There was a day, listen, and that's why I'm saying your peculiar gift has to be noticed. Listen, there was a day they were home, they were watching news or something. And then P called Sammy. By that time, Sammy was home. And I said, Sammy, come and have a look. And then Sammy came and he looked on the telly and saw what was there. And P said, what do you see? And Sammy said, Mom, I don't know what to look out for, but because you have called me, I know there is something wrong with the dress. You see, so your gift would have to be noticed. Why? Because you are the only one who see the mistakes. And sometimes these things happen in our homes. Our spouses will be the first person to point out the mistake. Do you understand that? Do you understand that it is because that is their room? This is because been called to fix it out. But it must be by grace. And that is where we sometimes miss it too. Because it is your area, you just say it without, I don't care however he feels. No, you must care. The way you go about it also matters. Number 3. I hope you are getting this, please. I hope you are getting this. We can save. Okay. The third thing to keep in mind when discussing purpose is that your gift comes with you in its crude state. That is why it's called potential. Therefore, it is important to refine. Listen, if you need to go to school to refine your gift, do it. If you need to become an apprentice to refine your gift, do it. There was a day, Uncle Kojo, we all know Uncle Kojo, except a few. He was playing the bass guitar. He was learning it. He was playing, and then he got a YouTube clip. So he was watching the YouTube clip, and then this guy, who is a guru, the bass guitar playing, played something, some progression or something they call. And as soon as he saw that, a problem he's been facing for years was solved. Just because he saw that progression. And he said, whoa! And that changed, that refined his bass guitar playing. Do you understand what I'm saying? Please, go to school if you need to refine it. The fourth thing to keep in mind when discussing, do you see how passionate I am when I'm talking about purpose? Because this is what will change your life. The fourth thing to keep in mind when discussing purpose is that living in line with your purpose does not guarantee that you will not make mistakes. You will make them many. Now, this is where we are starting. The fifth factor to consider when discussing purpose is this. You cannot, let's say it, all of us, you cannot begin your pursuit of purpose until you undergo a significant shift in how you perceive yourself. Again. To some of us, when I read that you are here to express God on earth, there were some who had problems with that statement. You haven't changed your mind yet. You've come out of Egypt, but Egypt is still alive in you. To some of us, we want to believe the statement that you are only but a worm. Paul said to the church of Corinth, he says, why do you behave like mere men? Don't you know that you are more than a human being? He said, I cannot speak to you as mature people because you are still thinking like mere men. Hey, let's go up. We've been here for too long. What do I mean by radically transforming your attitude? That attitude or how you see yourself. One, having a single-minded attitude that you were made to reflect the nature of God on earth. Two, in other words, you are a physical interpretation of God. Three, your purpose here is to express an aspect of God that is unique to you. Nobody will ever know this particular aspect of God unless you explain it to them in your talent. That is why sometimes, don't worry when people reject you. They don't understand. But other times, we allow the rejection of people to define us because we don't know who we are. I told Chantel that she will be saying something before I preach. But just after I have finished preaching, Chantel will share something with us. Chantel, are we in agreement? Excellent. Listen, you have a gift. You are here for a purpose. that purpose must be expressed in a unique way. Stop copying. Because you are an original. Exodus 31. He says, the Lord said to Moses, see, I have chosen Bezalel, son of Uri, son of of the tribe of Judah. Listen to this. And I have filled him with the Spirit of God, with skill, ability, and knowledge in all kinds of crafts, to make artistic. That is why in this country, they know this. That is why when you work with your hands, they pay you more. Maybe now the attitude has changed in Ghana. But those days, in our days, go and tell your parents, I want to be a tailor, and they will slap you. I want to be a plumber, and hey. There's a way they will say, Ukotitidien. 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 To be translated. Verse 5, to cut and set stones, to work in wood, and to engage in all kinds of craftsmanship. These people underwent transformation in their self-perception, leading them to fulfill their God-given purpose. Here are some notable examples. Moses, Caleb, we did Joshua, yes? Today we're going to do Gideon, and then next week we will do Moses, and then we'll finish regarding this. Yes? I wanted you to see this. Listen. Numbers 14:30 says, no one of you will enter the land that has been promised. Huh? Listen. The land I swore with uplifted, listen. God had sworn with an uplifted hand to the forefathers of these people. But he says, although I have sworn with my uplifted hand, you will not get into the promised land until you've changed your attitude. Are you getting what I'm saying? Except Caleb and Joshua. Why did they succeed in achieving their God-given purpose? Let's answer this question. This one is, I'm not going to answer it. They had a different attitude. So, you can have all the prophecies from the greatest prophet. I hear they call some of them Prophet One. Yeah. Major prophets. You can get all the prophecies from the major prophets and the prophet ones. If you do not do what is expected, you will die not seeing the fulfillment of that prophecy. If God had sworn by his hand that they will get into the promised land, but some did not get in there, that was not God's fault. They chose by their attitude not to get in there. I heard a lecturer one day said to his students, listen, I'm giving you an exam. Everyone has got 100%. But you tell me what I should give you. You don't blame the lecturer for giving you a lesser mark. No, you said to the lecturer, this is what I deserve. Do you understand what I'm saying? You don't blame the lecturer, you blame you. Listen, factors that might influence low self-confidence. And please, you listen carefully from this part. Please listen carefully. Because, listen, until you change the way you see yourself, I'm telling you, you cannot This one, I'm talking about the two negatives. You cannot launch into your purpose, no matter if God has sworn with his hand that these people are supposed to go to the promised land, and because of their state of mind, they did not enter. Why do you think that process will change? Pamela, are you getting what I'm saying? Number one, destitution. So Gideon, look at Gideon. Number two, mistakes. One mistake Moses made changed the way he saw himself. And there are some of us who made mistakes, and that affected us. It changed the way we saw ourselves. And from that time on, we never were bold enough to launch into our purpose. Number three, wrong teachings, but we won't go into that now. That's for the future. But you know where I will be ending. If you're not taught right, you won't believe right. Destitution, Gideon. Listen, Gideon and the whole of Israel had a chronic struggle. You do everything you know to do. Eh? You pray all the prayers that you know to pray. You fast all the fastings that you there was a time we had some many years ago at that place. Someone came and said, there is prayer and there is prayer. If you don't see the results of your prayer, there is something more than prayer. There is what is called prayer and there is what is called prayer. Making me feel guilty. As if, hey. And sometimes they open their eyes, when because they want to be spiritual. Listen, if you are not used to this, this is me. The short man is always like that. The Israelites had a persistent state of need. Need. This was not permanent. This was not temporal. It was a permanent one. Again, the Israelites did evil in the eyes of the Lord, and for 7 years, he gave them into the hands of the Midianites. Do you understand this? Do you understand this? Who can explain this to me? That did God hand over the Israelites into the hands of the Midianites? We just saw something that God has sworn, yes, God has sworn, yes, that the Israelites will what? Enjoy the promised land. But their state of mind did not allow them to enjoy. So you see, although it is written like this, you need to know how you read it. It is not as though God pushed them upon one. Do you understand what I'm saying? So they handed themselves over to the Midianites because they chose not to remain within their purpose. Let's go on. The Midianites were so cruel that the Israelites made hiding places for themselves in the mountains, caves, and strongholds. Whenever the Israelites planted the crops, the Midianites, Amalekites, and other eastern people invaded the country. They camped on the land and ruined the crops all the way to Gaza and did not spare a living thing for Israel. Neither sheep, nor cattle, nor donkeys. They came up with their livestock and their tents like swarms of locusts. It was impossible to count the men and their camels. They invaded the land to ravage it. Listen, Midian so impoverished the Israelites that they cried out to the Lord for help. So 7 and 8, when the Israelites cried to the Lord because of Midian, he sent them a prophet who said, "This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. I brought you up out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery. I snatched you from the power of Egypt and from the hand of your oppressors. I drove them from before you and gave you their lands. I said to you, I am the Lord your God. Do not worship the gods of the Amorites, in whose lands you live, but you have not listened to me." Verse 11, "Then the angel of the Lord came and sat beneath the great tree of Ophrah, which belonged to Joash of the clan of Abiezer. Gideon, son of Joash, was threshing wheat at the bottom of a winepress to hide the grain from the Midianites." Verse 12, "When the angel of the Lord appeared to Gideon, he said, 'The Lord is with you, mighty warrior.'" This was how God saw Gideon. But how did he see himself? Because he was born into an environment where there was always poverty, there was lack. He did not see himself as someone who the Lord is with. Some of us are in some states now, and we feel the Lord is way away, far away from us. We cry. We do all that I want to do because we think God is so far away. But God says, "You are a mighty warrior. Before you were born, you were made a warrior." And that's how God sees you. But your circumstances had deceived you to think otherwise. So, this is from the complete Jewish Bible. Listen to the response of Gideon. "Excuse me." Hey. "Excuse me, sir," answered Gideon. "But if Adonai is with us, then tell me one thing. Why all this happening? Have you been there? Pamela, have you been there? Uncle Jam, have you been there before? Listen, have you ever been there? Why are all these things happening? Why? Gideon said, "Excuse me, don't insult my intelligence. I know where I am. At the moment, listen, I'm hiding this wheat from my enemies. Because if I don't do that, I will starve to death. You are telling me God is with me." He says, "Excuse me, don't insult my intelligence. I see what I see." Is it Fidi Gadochi? They call it. Fili Fili. If you don't understand, someone will translate. Listen. He says, "And where are all his miracles our ancestors told us about when they said, 'Didn't Adonai bring us up from Egypt?' For now, as far as I'm concerned, because of what I see, because of what I'm experiencing, Adonai has abandoned us and handed us over to Midian." Gideon's question God's presence and expresses doubt about divine intervention due to the chronic challenges. Some of us are there. But I pray that before we finish, you would have an answer. Adonai turned to him and said, "Go in this strength." What strength did the angel see? The guy was was hiding. And the guy was asking questions of doubt. But God said, go in that strength. I hope what is happening to me is happening to you. Because there is something doing me. This one, there's something doing me. Papa, there is something doing me. If you don't know Papa, look behind you. Listen, Adonai turned to him and said, go in this strength of yours. And listen, and save Israel from the hand of Midian. Today, I'm saying to you, that thing that is happening in your home, God says, go in that strength and save your family. He says, haven't I sent you? In fact, it actually means, I have sent you. Listen, I love this one too. Listen, but Gideon answered him, hey, forgive me, bro. Listen, he says, forgive me. Forgive me, sir. Forgive me, Lord. Listen. But with what? Can you read that? But what? But with what am I saving? With what? Why? Listen, my family is the poorest in Manasseh. And I'm the youngest person in my father's house. So with what am I going to save Israel? He views himself as insignificant. Coming from the weakest clan and considering himself the least in his family. This reflects a low self-image and lack of confidence. So the statement that Gideon made about himself before the mental transformation was weakness, insignificance, incapability, or incapable of making a difference. Especially the third one. How many of us feel that today? You feel your contribution is of no significance. You think you cannot contribute anything. But listen to this. The process of change look, when you go home, read the remaining of the... Listen, why do you think God had all that patience? For Gideon. The exchange. The exchange. Why do you think God had that exchange with him? Because there must be a process of change in his mental attitude. There must be a change of how he sees himself. Go to the exchange that he had with the angel. Do that. That is your homework. The second statement Gideon made after he had a mental transformation. Listen to this. After he had that mental shift, listen to this. Listen. Judges 7:15. When Gideon heard the dream and its interpretation, listen, the man who says, with what am I going to save Israel? Listen, he worshipped God. He returned to the camp of Israel and called out, get up! He had a change of mind. He saw himself differently. He saw himself as the arm of God of deliverance for Israel. He saw that. He accepted that. He did not have any doubts anymore. Because as long as you have a doubt, you would not launch into your purpose. He said, get up. The Lord has given the Midianites camp into your hands. 17 and 18. Do you see this? The man who was hiding now says what? Watch me! Hey! Oh! I don't know whether you get what I'm saying here. Do you get me? The man who was hiding, the man who asked God, what do I have to save Israel? Says, watch me! Watch me! He told them, listen, he says, follow my lead. Oh! That's what happens when you have a change of mind. You take up the role of leadership. Follow me. Listen, when I get to the edge of the camp, do exactly as I do. Do you see what I see? When I and all who are with me blow our trumpets, then from all around the camp, blow yours and shout. Listen to this. I intentionally underline this because, listen, until you get here, you've not started. He says, for the Lord and for Gideon. Do you see that? Blow the trumpet for the Lord and for Gideon. Gideon saw himself as an expression of God. Until you get there, your ministry has not yet begun. Until you get there, your sowing has not yet begun. Until you get there, you have not yet begun. For the Lord and for Gideon, this is not pride. This is confidence in the promises of God. He stepped into his role as a leader, instructing his troops with authority and including his name alongside God's, showing he has embraced his identity and mission. You cannot begin your pursuit of purpose until you undergo a significant shift in how you perceive yourself.